Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Switch Markets webinar. I'm Shane Vernier, and we're going to talk about the 5-8-13 EMA strategy. Today, we're going to show you how to set it up, and then we're going to do some live scalping. And towards the end, we're also going to cover a few of these trade updates. We've got a really hot one in the US 100. It's already come off, pretty much hit our target. I'll show you that. A bit of a rebound right now, but we've got to definitely look at that compression in front of 25. We've also got our hot break that we were looking for in crude oil. That futures market that I talked about yesterday has broken to the bear, and then also US oil is coming off in a big way as well. So oil down, natural gas up, sort of fading a little bit. It was up about 4% earlier today, but it's not now. Gold's pulled back to a 38% and bounced perfectly. So if you took in the psychology workshop we did yesterday, I want to thank you for being there, because the big thing about psychology that you have to remember is you got to stick with it. You absolutely have to stick with it, and it's critical. It's absolutely critical that you do that, because, well, if you don't stick with it, you're not necessarily around for the really good stuff, and that's exactly what we want. Is you want to be around for the good stuff at all times. And if you get angry and you quit, you miss a lot of great trades. So it's good to see everybody back for the webinar here. Andrea Garwal, good to see you, Gordon. I hate when the 920 reverses in the next few candles. I hear you, Gordon. It can be absolutely a challenge. But you know, sometimes in the 920, you just got to be patient. Today, we're going to talk about the 5-8-13 trading strategy, though. And I'm going to go ahead and get on with it. I'm going to show you how to set it up. And we're going to go ahead and see if we can't make a few trades. The 5-8-13 is relatively straightforward, guys. It's one of our more popular trading strategies that we've put out on the How to Trade Calm YouTube channel. And what this is essentially is a way that you can scalp. Now, I like it for scalping. I think the 5, 8, and the 13, that combination of EMAs is absolutely fantastic when it comes to picking a market that's active and being able to trade it with confidence. So, strategy rules: when the 5 crosses over the 8, you look to trade. All right, when we cross over it, you're looking to buy. When it crosses under it, you're looking to sell. Now, price must be above all 3 EMAs before we can buy the market, or it must be below all 3 EMAs when we sell the market. Now, on our indicator, our trigger bar, when would we get into the market? When that bar closes, that first bar after the crossover that closes above or below all 3 EMAs. Now, don't get lost with how fast I'm talking. I'm going to show you how to set the strategy up, then I'm going to show you some live executions. It is relatively straightforward. Now, buy or sell on the first bar close. That's it. That's all you have to know. So let's go ahead and see if we can show one. This is what it looks like in play. We're going to start with a naked chart, and we're going to build it. I'm looking at a 1-minute NASDAQ chart right now that we may actually get a trade on. We're going to do this on Trading View just to keep this moving quickly. And I probably could show you how to set it up on MT5 as well. It's just a little bit more involved, but the actual trading mechanism is the same. So you can see right here, this would be a cross under on this dollar yen. Boom, you got the nice big cross under. The 5, which is going to be our red one, crosses what? The blue or the purple. And then you get that action when you get the bar closed beneath all 3 EMAs. It's easy, guys. You guys can do that. Yes, sir. Hey, good to see you. Yes, sir. Welcome. All right, let's get out to price action and see if we can do a little bit of work, a little bit of trading here. All right, this is going to be the E-mini NASDAQ futures December contract. We've got a mover and a shaker here, sort of trying to play off of that weakness that we've seen since the hard test of 25,000 over there on the cash market. We're starting to see a little bit of fading action here on the NASDAQ futures. So let's go ahead and set this one up. We're going to go to indicators here on Trading View. You're going to click indicators. You're going to come down to moving averages, exponential. And you're going to go ahead and click that once, twice, 3 times, and that's going to get you set up ready to roll. Now, what I like to do is I like to color code them and make them thick. So when I go right here, I'm looking at my 9, or excuse me, we got to change the periodicity first. So we're going to go here. We're going to go ahead and go to our inputs. We're going to go to our 5. Now, our 5 is absolutely imperative. That's our hot EMA. That's the one that tells us what to do. So we got to have something that shows us where the 5 is at all times. That's why I make it red. So we've got a 5 EMA right there. We're going to base it on the source, which is the close of the bar. Don't worry about smoothing. Don't worry about really anything. We just want it based on the close. Okay, so the 5, I want it red. Why do I want it red? Because that's my hot EMA. That's the one that I'm watching at all times, probably a little more than the other ones. Okay, now 5, 8, 13 inputs is going to be an 8. We're going to go ahead and plug in an 8. Based on the close, the style right there, we're going to go ahead and leave that blue. I don't have a problem with that. I just want it thicker so we can see it just a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and go okay there. Now, the last one we're going to do is our 13 EMA, and this is probably the most important because this is what you're going to use to filter your trades. Now, we're also going to introduce some confirmation devices here that could potentially help us make a decision one way or another on really short time frames. However, the 13 is very, very important on the 5-8-13. It's the one that confirms the market direction, the broader market direction. So if you have sort of a movement upwards, price is going to be above the 13. If you have a mover downwards, price needs to be below the 13. If it's not, then we don't have a qualified trade. More than likely, we have a flat market. So we definitely want to be aware that I got to tell you, the 13 is my go-to EMA. Absolutely imperative that you understand exactly what it is and what it means. This is our filter. Okay, so now we also got RSI up, and I'm going to get into that in a minute as a confirmation device. But right here, we've got a potential trade building. So let's go ahead and open our trading panel, go to paper trading. Remember, these are demo dollars, but this may give us just a fantastic way really to trade this thing right away. Really tell you what I'm looking at. Okay, we don't want that just yet. Okay, what did we have right there? Right there was our bar close. The 5 crossed over where? The 5 crossed over your 8, right? Or sort of a pending crossover, I would say. Crosses right here on this bar close. We're going to be looking to go hot. You have the crossover sort of pending right in there. There's your 5. It's got to cross over that and also close above all 3 EMAs. Right here is going to be our buy. Upon the bar close at about 27 seconds, if we get there, we're going to go ahead and buy. We're going to buy the market, and I'm going to send 4 contracts deep on this NASDAQ, and I'm going to show you where to put your stop loss and your profit target. Now, what we have to have is we have to have that crossover, so we've got to be patient. Do not jump the gun on these trades. We're going to buy market order because we want to be right here and enter the market immediately on that bar close because it's going to be above all 3 EMAs. I know I'm talking fast, but we're scalping right now. Okay, bam, right now we buy. Okay, now we bought the market. What did we buy? We bought right on this bar close. There was our crossover. There was our price above all 3 EMAs. And now, of course, it's sort of rallying against us here a little bit. That's okay, though. Our trade is very simple. We're looking for a fixed 1-to-1, fixed 1-to-2, fixed 1-to-3, or we're going to look at market structure and potentially get in. Now, this is a 1-minute trade. No question about it. This is a 1-minute trade. Where's my stop loss going to be? You have a couple of options. You could put it right beneath the trigger bar if you'd like. I think that if you're scalping and you're putting this using these very short time frames, you need to give these trades a little bit of room to work. That's what I would say. So right there, that's going to be where we're going to put our stop loss beneath that swing low, okay? Now, where would we be shooting for potentially for our profit target? Well, we could use market structure, which would be right up in here somewhere, sort of these liquidity sweeps that developed a little bit earlier today. We could be looking maybe to the top of the market right up here, really build ourselves a huge trade. That's what I would say. Or we can build a fixed risk versus reward. So if I was going to adjust my take profit, let's say I just want to shoot for a 1-to-1. I have no problem with that. That's sort of my style. I mean, that's what I like to do. So we could go with a 1-to-1 there. Maybe we could go with a 1-to-2, something like that. So let's go ahead and put our price right up there at about 25.1, something like that. What does that set us up for? Almost a 2-to-1 ratio. What about a 1.5-to-1? If we wanted to be conservative with our profit target, we could. We could bring this take profit right down to, say, a 1-to-1 ratio. That's really what I like to do personally. That's more my style. And especially if you're scalping, if you're looking to take a scalp trade, that means that you're going to be doing this all day long. So you're going to take 20, 30, 40 of these potentially if you're working across multiple markets. Tina, good to see you. Tina, welcome. So this would be our opening trade. What did we have? We had our crossover right there. The 5 crossed over the 8. Price closed above the 5, 8, and the 13. And you're going to go ahead and take that trade. Now, are we getting our lunch eaten? Yeah, right now we're getting hit. That's okay, though. Our strategy is very, very basic, guys. If you're scalping, you're going to take a lot of trades. You're going to win a lot of them. You're going to lose a lot of them. Here's what you need to remember. I usually say if you have a strong trade setup, I'll allow you to use 5% probably as your upper bounds of what I would even remotely say is acceptable risk management. However, when you're scalping, I recommend playing tighter, 1 to 3%, and don't deviate from that. And probably if you're going to take that many trades in a day, 1%, 2%, 3%'s fine. For a retail account, you're going to struggle just because most of the folks watching this, the retail accounts are relatively small. You don't have $100,000 to work with. I completely understand that. But let's say you're trading prop and you do have that kind of leverage and you do have those kinds of deep pockets. Then you can get in there and you can sit there and say, okay, maybe I want to go 1 to 3% and I can make it work. Scalping, when you scalp, you are in it for the long haul and you're taking a lot of trades. Now, but personally, I do some scalping, but it's very selective. It's around key levels. It's around macro levels. This type of strategy, though, can get you into some very good trades on short time frames. It can also put you in sort of a position where you're going to be taking several losses before you get that winner. Now, a lot of folks traditionally, when they teach a crossover strategy or they say, okay, if you can trade this way, you go ahead and do it. What they always tell you, almost to the man or woman, whoever's giving the talk and showing you the strategy, what they tell you almost every time is make sure you're getting a big payoff, 1 to 3s, 1 to 4s, 1 to 5s. Now, the reason why they do that is because you don't have to be right very often when you're risking 1,400 and you're winning 3,400. You don't have to be right very often. And remember, I mean, I'm going to just tell you some inside baseball right here. That's an analyst trick. I mean, that's a trick that a lot of folks in the markets, that's something that they always do. They say, listen, okay, we're taking 1 to 5s, 1 to 10s, 1 to 15s. And a lot of traders have made a lot of money doing that, but a lot of analysts try to fool people into thinking that, okay, I really know what I'm talking about because, okay, we only hit about 15% of the time, but man, when we called those winners, it was so huge and you could have made a fortune. That's true unless you lose a bunch of times before you make your money. So going back to our trade here, you've got this huge, great big, huge thing right here, 3,400, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. This is more of what I sort of preached, and I preached way too much yesterday in the psychology workshop, but I like the ability to win a lot. And what most statisticians are going to sit here and say, and they're going to say, Shane, of course you're going to win more, but are you going to make any more money? And what I would say is this. We've got to really understand that when we're in a trading idea or a market where we're going to get a lot of trades, like a scalping situation, 30, 40, 50 trades. Let's say I'm scalping gold, crude oil, and a couple of the equities indices on 1-minute charts, and I've got the 10 screens like everybody on YouTube has, and that's how I want to approach the markets. I could easily take 50 trades a day. Okay, now if we're doing 50 trades a day and I've got a 1-to-1 ratio, how many do I have to win to be profitable on the day? Not very many. What do I have to go, 27 and 23? Depends on what your slippage is. Slippage is a big deal. Spreads are a big deal, of course, if you're trading Forex or CFDs. But it's a big task to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to take 50 of these trades a day. I need to win how many? Say I go 30 and 20. I'm very profitable. All I have to do is win 50% to break even. I'm very profitable. Now, most traders are going to say, okay, Shane, I'm going to take 50 trades a day, but I'm going to be shooting for the 1 to 3s and 1 to 4s, and all I got to do is hit 25% of my trades or 20% of my trades. Let's say a 1 to 4, a 1 to 5. A 1 to 5 would be 20% of your trades need to be winners for you to break even. Okay, what's that going to take for you over the course of 50 trades? Put your thinking cap on. You take 50 trades a day. You're looking for 1 to 5 winners, okay, 1 to 5 payoffs. Let's say you need to hit at least 20%. How many trades is that? 20% out of 50 is what? What is that, 10? So you're going to need to have 10 winners out of 50. That leaves 40 losers. 40 losers. And who's to say you're not going to lose 15 trades in a row? That right there is why I completely disagree with coming in and scalping and taking 1 to 5s, 1 to 6s, and all that jazz. Now, you could probably get away with a 1 to 2, maybe 1.5 to 1, 1 to 1. But when we're scalping, remember, you're going to take so many trades. You're going to need to be able to win. If you do not win trades, you are going to lose money. And listen, you may get hot and you may win a bunch of in a row, 3 or 4 of those 1 to 5s in a row. And if you do, I hope you hit them right at the beginning. That way you've got all that cash to work with and you've got the ability maybe to change your approach when things go wrong. But if you don't, and you start losing, you come out of the gate and you lose 10 in a row, then you're sitting there going, okay, well, I got to win one at least to get even. That's a really difficult way to trade because it's tough on your capital. The drawdown is immense. All right, so you can sort of see exactly how these trades play out. To be honest with you, I'm sort of, I think we could easily bounce up on the US 100 to get paid off here, probably the way that it's going to go. We had a big sell-off earlier today, though, and I'm going to show you that right from our entry point. We actually had a trade update that called that 25 top relatively closely. I think we hit it relatively closely. But for right this minute, this would be your 5813 trade on your E-mini NASDAQ. Let's just wait and see. It's a 1-minute chart. Now, a lot of folks ask me, Shane, okay, trade management, what could I do right now? I'd say, well, you could do a couple of things. Number one, you could tighten your stop up right here to that swing low if you wanted. I don't necessarily agree with that, but they would argue, they'd say, listen, I could do that, and now I've got a 1 to 2. I'd say, yeah, you do, but you could also get chopped out before you get your big rally. I'm a big fan of leaving them where they lay. We move things around. Let's say we move up to break even. We've already been stopped out a few times. To me, I would just let this one run, and that's exactly what we're going to do for the rest of the webinar here. So that's a look at how to execute that type of a strategy on a 1 minute chart without any confirmation at all. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. Okay, let's go ahead and let's go right here and pull up our MT5 on switch markets. Now we are doing some work with an EA up here that I'll probably get to. Probably going to be in our next video or something, but we got a real nice EA there. You can get it switch that shows you the different time zones, and it also locate exactly where those time zones are on your chart. So if we wanted to be trading the 5813 and we needed to get it going on your MT5, how would we do it? Relatively straightforward, guys. You're going to go right up here to insert. You're going to go to indicators, drop down menu. You're going to go to trend. Then you're going to go to moving average. You're going to give that a click, right? So what's your period? You're going to do this 3 times. First one's going to be 5. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go red on it somewhere in there. And I like it nice and thick. So there you go. There's that red. Go insert, indicators, trend. Go right down to your moving average again. If I could find it right there, moving average. Now remember, your method, you've got to outline that as exponential. If you don't, you'll get a simple or something different or a smooth. So your 5 and your 8, let's go ahead and make that one a blue. And let's go ahead and hit OK on that. Okay, there's your second one. And then let's go insert, indicators, trend, moving average. Make sure you're exponential. And you've got your 13 as your last one. And we'll go ahead and stick with our color schemes that we were using on the other platform. And just go ahead and make that 13 EMA purple. Interesting. So we're looking at gold right here on the 4-hour chart. So if we were, in fact, going to make a trade, could we make a trade just yet? And you'll have to bear with me. That's one of the reasons we use TradingView and not necessarily MT5 on these live streams, because I don't really have the opportunity to blow that up really as big as we need to. But right in there, you'll sort of see that your crossover, your 5 has crossed over the 8, or it's in the process of crossing over the 8. Price is down here where it needs to be beneath the 13. The real question is do we get this next bar close? That's a 4-hour chart, so you're going to have to wait a little bit, right? All right, let's go ahead and take this down to maybe a 15-minute chart and see what we have. Now, you'll notice on the 15, things are a little bit different. You've got sort of a buying opportunity setting up here in gold. This is just spot gold. Let's go to the 5-minute chart. What would this 5-minute chart be? Right there, your crossover would have developed right in this zone. Your moving average was a little bit earlier today, so that would have probably been your entry point right there. Right there. Now, remember, don't rush into these. Don't try to anticipate a crossover. 5 EMA and 8 EMA are very, very, very short time frames. Very, very, very short periodicities. And when you start talking about a 1 minute or a 5 minute or a 30-second or whatever, you could easily try to anticipate those crossovers, jump the gun, and get into big trouble. You don't want that. You don't want that. So I would definitely recommend being sure and waiting. Now, the 5813 is something that I have tried to code using AI. And what happens is we run into some real issues getting unique entries. I'm still working on it. I got several things in the fire. I just have to be, it's an army of one, so you're going to have to be patient. But this one right here, this is a pretty good strategy for you. Now, we haven't talked at all about confirmation. We probably need to right now and have that discussion. This is your relative strength index down here. This is your RSI. And what the RSI is, if you need to add it to your charts, you're just going to go to indicators, you're going to go to oscillators, and you're going to go right here to relative strength index. Click relative strength index. It's going to give you periodicity. You're going to have an opportunity to draw a line, color it, do whatever you'd like. But right there, we're keeping it very basic. RSI, relative strength index. That's going to be our confirmation tool. So what is confirmation? Confirmation refers to the use of an additional indicator or indicators to substantiate a trend suggested by one indicator. Since technical indicators are not perfect predictions of future price movements, a trader often needs to combine several of them to get the confirmation. Now, I'm a big fan of confirmation. I'm a big fan of RSI, especially on short time frames. So let's go back to our chart and see exactly what this RSI signal would have told us. A couple of things. Now, follow my pointer here. You'll notice the top of the RSI band. Now, we're just leaving this as basic as we can. All right, 70 and 30. Anything above 70, we're looking for a sell signal or the 5 to cross under the 8. Anything below 30, we're looking for a buy signal and an opportunity potentially to bid the market to the top side. Above 70, we're looking to sell. Below 30, we're looking to buy. So if we're below 30 and we want to buy using the 5-8-13, what has to be true? The 5 has to cross over the 8 and price has to close above all 3 EMAs. Fantastic. If the price is above 70 or if the RSI is above 70, what are we looking to do? We're looking to sell the market. What does that mean? It means the 5 has to cross under the 8 and price has to close beneath all 3 EMAs. That's the bottom line. That's it. So how can we use RSI to our advantage? And the answer is it really locates our stop loss. That's what RSI does. So when we're down in here, say, right there, we're in oversold territory. We want to buy, right? That corresponds with this candle right here. So if we have a buy signal on right now, what are we going to do? We're going to buy the next crossover when all of our conditions are met. The 5 has to cross over the 8, close above all 3, and then there's your bid. There's your rally. Stop loss beneath that swing low. Let's get back on over to our NASDAQ trade and see how life's going. Nothing's happened. Nothing has happened. 1 minute chart. It's a good example to really show us what we were looking at. But you can see right here, we had a nice run, but we just nothing's happened yet. We're just sort of milling around. We're up about $300. Demo dollars. We've got 4 contracts on a NASDAQ. That's what, about $20-something a tick. That's a lot of risk, especially for something as volatile as a NASDAQ. Fortunes can change hands in a hurry trading the E-mini NASDAQ futures. Okay, so what we do want to do, though, is look at our RSI. Now, you can see the RSI settings are pretty much behind, right behind my head over here. Yeah, right in there. It's always, everything's backwards on camera, but so your inputs are what? 14 and on the close. Forget about the rest of it. Keep it easy. Keep it on Wells Wilder Jr. Keep it on his default settings for the sake of this argument. So what did we really have here? Take a look at our charts. When we took that trade, when we took that buy trade on the crossover, the RSI was not overbought or oversold. What does that tell us? It tells us that we were just sort of milling around in sort of a flat market. And what has happened? We've just sort of milled around in a flat market. Now, can we get the break and go up there and get paid off? Yeah, probably. Do I like the bullish side of this market today? It's not a bad thing. We've already got the big pressure off of 25,000. We're going to recap in the last 5 minutes here of a few of those trade ideas. But when we look at what can happen, it certainly can go up and get our profit target. And it is right now. We're on the rally. Are we going to get paid off? It looks pretty good right now. It looks pretty good right now. And that all goes back to our crossover that developed right there just several minutes ago. Where was it? It was in here somewhere. In any case, that's what you have. So we're looking pretty good. As far as right here is our crossover. Excuse me. I keep forgetting the duration of these charts. We juggle between 5s and 1s, and I get confused sometimes. But that right there is your entry. Let's go ahead and just mark our entry to make sure that I don't forget where it is again. Okay, right there was your entry. There was your crossover. There was your close. Boom, there's your entry. Where should our stop loss be? I put it beneath this macro zone down here. Should we leave it there now? I don't know. Depends on how you're going to execute 50 trades a day. Do we have confirmation? No, we didn't have confirmation. We just took the trade. All right, let's take a look at another market here and see if we can't execute something else. Let's go to gold. Let's go to gold futures. You notice I'm working with some futures contracts today. Futures are my bread and butter. So if we were on, say, a 1 minute chart here for gold, gold's on the rally a little bit. Do we have a trade using our RSI confirmation? No, we do not. All right, let's go ahead. We're scouting 1 minute charts. We're looking for trades. Okay, what would we have right here? That right there would have been an example of confirmation. That would have been your oversold territory, overbought territory. So you're going to want to sell this thing. Stop loss would have been there. Where would your entry have been? Cross unders right there, and there's your close. So that would have been your sell down there. How does it look? Not real great. Getting better, but not real great. So a tremendous amount of things are happening on these trades. See right there, we'd be back in the money. I highly recommend, especially if you're going to set up like a 1 minute chart on a Forex pair. You really got to watch that. You got to be careful because Forex pairs typically don't move. They just don't move. This would be a short. We can go ahead and take the short if you want, but look what you're actually risking. 134.40 and 134.45. What are you risking? 5 pips. Is that worth it? I mean, you could do it. You could certainly do it. I mean, what would our profit target be right here? Right down in here, wouldn't it? If we had a 40 sell, 35 sell, something like that. No, that's not right. 34.40. 34.40 is our entry. 34.45 is our bid. So what is it going to be? Somewhere probably down in here. Something like that. We can go ahead and do this on the short position indicator. Is that what the trade would look like? Something like that. At least a 1-to-1. So you see we're sort of messing with fractal pips, fractions of a pip. Interesting stuff, though. That's for sure. Can it work? Yeah, it can. Will it work? Forex pairs are going to be a little bit tougher. You need to make sure that you're in an active period. So if we were looking at this British pound, is this a pretty good day to be doing it? I mean, we always are doing this stuff in retrospect, but right there's your move. You can see down here on our RSI. Our RSI is oversold. Essentially, that's going to be the bottom of your market right there. Your entry point's going to be right here. You caught that huge move. Interesting the way that works. Something to think about if you're a trader, that's for sure. I'm juggling like 3 live chats, so yeah. Okay, we're all good. If you have any questions at all, be sure to ask. But that essentially is what we're looking at here. So it looks like our live trade on our NASDAQ is going to go up and pay us off. Pretty close. Ring the bell. What do you do right here? You're up $1,180. You're waiting for that last 300, that last few ticks. I mean, honestly, it's only 2 points, 2.25 points. Do you stick with it or not? Or do you pull it right now? I mean, look at that's. I mean, this is trading. You're 1 tick away. Okay, we got paid. So we had one winner. How much was our winner worth? $1,420. That's absolutely fantastic. Go to our history, and there it is, somewhere in there, right there, filled. So. Fantastic. Can't beat that. Account history. Really a nice thing right there. Not too shabby, guys. So what we really want to do is try to be consistent with this strategy. It can help you trade. It really can help you trade. It can help you get in and out of the market with a little bit of, I don't know, what I would call confidence. Are you geared to trade like that? If we're looking at 3 or 4 different markets at a time. Is that something that you're interested in doing? It's hard. It can get very, very hard and it's strenuous is what it is. I would definitely say that scalping's not for everybody. But if you do want to give it a shot, be sure to head on over to Switch Markets, check out an account. They don't mind if you scalp. So you can get in and scalp CFDs and Forex pairs. Commodity CFDs are pretty nice. You can go scalp that US tech, which looks a lot like our NASDAQ market there that we just had across the board. Something to think about there if you're interested in this type of trading strategy. Now, a couple of things that I do want to go over here that are important. If there's any questions at all on this 5813, feel free to just, I won't say call me up, but you can definitely cruise by the How to Trade trading room and take a gander. Send me a private message, and I will be sure to get back to you really with any question you have. Or you can leave them in the live chat beneath this video. Feel free to do just that. As far as what we've got here with our news today, we've got the government shutdown in day 2. Really a lot going on right here. It's really going to put our tomorrow's NFP report into jeopardy. Now, I'm still going to go NFP live. We don't think that the government's going to be back online for tomorrow, but that's going to be okay. We're going to go ahead. We're going to show up. We're going to run through sort of what our expectations of the report, what the government shutdown means, and then we'll just look at some key markets and recap some trades. But I'll be on about 10 minutes ahead of time just in case they make a deal during the overnight tonight, and all of a sudden we get a situation where we have to trade the jobs numbers tomorrow. I don't think that's going to be the case, but we can do that just the same. Okay, a couple of trade ideas that we do need to recap from earlier this week. We'll go ahead and do it. US 100, this was sort of the trade that I was talking about. Talking about this a lot. We were selling 24.925. 24.925. Price ran to 24.964, and then we got a big sweep lower. Now we're sort of rotating back up into the guts of today's range. We had it called for about 200 points, very close, like within 2 points. So I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, listen, if price goes in your favor, our profit target was at 24.76, I believe, 76, somewhere in there. If it goes there, are you really going to wager 200 or give 200 points back to try to win the final 2 points? You can't do that. So you've either got to make a decision just to take the money when you get like within 5 or 10 points of your final target, especially on a big position trade, or you've got to let them run, or to break even, or to have a trailing stop when you get in that last quarter of the trade. I don't have a problem at all. I don't have a problem at all with that, but it definitely came off there. Big deal. Let me see. John, yeah, good to see you. John, Cook was not fired. The Supreme Court gave her a chance. Yeah, I think she's fired. They said that Lisa Cook can stay in her seat at the FOMC until oral arguments in January. So they're going to give her 2 more months, or 2 more meetings, excuse me. You're going to get the October meeting and the December meeting, and then after that, my guess is that she'll be fired. That would be my guess, John. But you're right. It wasn't an immediate termination. They made sure that there wasn't going to be some upheaval at the FOMC where you were going to have that turnover of members that I was talking about last August. You're not going to have that. So you definitely want to be able to understand the difference between being fired today and being terminated. I think Lisa Cook's been terminated. I think the Supreme Court will uphold the decision once oral arguments are heard. But if you've ever been involved in the legal system in any capacity, you realize that these things move like molasses. The legal system's slow. In any case, this was a great trade. This $25,000, we had a really beautiful entry, beautiful sell, came right off nicely. So that's exactly what I'm looking for right in front of that 25,000 level in the US 100. I think that's probably the biggest level in finance right now, 25,000. Crude oil, we talked about this breakout. Here's WTI crude oil futures. And you can see this was the compression pattern that I talked about yesterday, and was really outlined on U.S. oil a lot. Right there was your sort of your low there for August, and then your low there for September was the same, 61.06, 60.85, a little bit different because we're using futures contracts here instead of your CFD. But there's your futures, 60.85. Your low there was 61.06. We talked about getting a breakout underneath 61. It's been pretty good. Let's take this down to a 5-minute chart and see how this break really set up. Pretty good. There was your initial test. There's your low right there at 61.06. That is not an accident. A lot of folks dug in and bid right in there. Got a really great trade out of it too. And then you came right off and took this zone out. Nice sweep lower down to 60.96. A little bit of a pullback. The pullback there was a 61.11. So you're looking at what? About 5 pip pullback, and then you just rock and roll south. I mean, I think this is the beginning of the big move down. I think that we're getting ready to really get this job done here. And trend, I think we've got a trend developing here on WTI crude. U.S. oil was stubborn. The CFD didn't track the futures exactly. We had an inside bar actually on the CFD contract, and we called for a 61.45 or 44 sell. The 61.44 sell did get stopped out, but now you can see you're coming off big. You're off about 80 pips from that launch point. My targets, my downside targets for here, if you could actually take a position in this market, would be to the short somewhere down here in 55 or 56. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. Let's see. Gold. Gold, this is a level that we outlined. We've sort of been sitting up here, just being patient, playing not devil's advocate, but just being patient and wanting that sell right from beneath 4,000. We have a trade idea on that in the How to Trade trading room. But this one right here, here's your pullback. We talked a lot about that 38.25 area yesterday. What was the low? The low right there was 38.19. And then your bounces up back up to 38.45. Bullish, 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 and bullish. And if you're not bullish gold, good luck. If you got that intraday sell yesterday, good luck. We talked about it. That was talked about in the trading room. I believe there was a 1-hour chart that they were going to come and sell right off of these all-time highs, these ATHs, up around 3,900. It was a great trade. Fantastic. You nailed it. This bid right here, though, pretty good trade too. Pretty good trade too. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for right now. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow. This was our 5/8/13 EMA scalping strategy workshop. We got in and scalped some NQs, some NASDAQ futures, got a winner. That's fantastic. Just remember some of the things I talked about rules-wise. Adding them to your chart's relatively easy. Just be sure to set your trades up, profit targets, stop losses. Those are the things that are going to make you a success when trading a strategy like this. That's it. But I do appreciate everybody dropping by. Tomorrow's going to be more of a conventional stream. We're going to talk a little bit about the jobs markets, chances of recession, what the government shutdown could mean, and if we do get the NFP numbers to drop, we're going to talk about those as well. But I think that we're going to be out of luck for tomorrow. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. You guys have a fantastic trading session. Trade the action well, and we'll talk soon. See you.